I'm Lise Colucci, one of the life coaches at queenbeing.com, where we help you to discover, understand, and overcome narcissistic abuse in toxic relationships. Hello and welcome to you. And today I had a question that somebody asked that was, what if they aren't really a narcissist? What if I am not seeing it right? What if they're not a narcissist? What if I'm wrong? Okay, so what can we say about that? Okay, first of all, there's two things. Well, let's get started with understanding that what that question is, what if they're not a narcissist, is anchoring you back to an abusive partner. That question is an anchor back to the toxic person. All right, so one thing to remember is that what matters is, are you in a fulfilling and happy relationship? Regardless of what the person's diagnosis is, the toxic is toxic. And regardless of whether the person can actually change or not, if they are not actively doing so, we can assume they won't, okay? How much time of your own life do you want to spend with someone who's a toxic partner? And how much of your energy do you want to put into a relationship that is toxic? So those are questions to ask yourself. Well, here's some things you can ask yourself to know if you're in a toxic relationship. Are my feelings being validated? Are my needs and wants considered? Do I feel heard? Really, do I feel seen? Is this person able to compromise? Are they really listening to me? Not just what they assume I'm saying, but are they really hearing me when we're having conflict in particular? Okay. Okay. So what's happening when you have, gosh, I'm mellow today. Sorry, guys. What's happening when you have this going on is two things. When you have a question like that, and you know there's most people, by the time they have come to a place where they're asking me this question, they pretty much know they're in a toxic relationship, okay? If they are in SPAN or another support group and they're asking this question of a group, they pretty much know that something is really wrong, or else they wouldn't be in that group to begin with, for the most part. So what happens when you have this question? Why has this question even come up? Why do we doubt our experience? There's two things: cognitive dissonance and abuse amnesia. And those two things work together as part of the trauma bonding process. And we talked about trauma bonds yesterday. So go back and watch that if you feel it would be useful to you. So we can talk about what is cognitive dissonance. Okay, that's what we'll talk about next. Excuse me one second. I'm sorry. Hello, Shastina and Frankendahl. Okay, so cognitive dissonance. Well, what creates cognitive dissonance is the abuse cycle of the love bombing and the devalue, as well as gaslighting. It really confuses and muddles up your brain. And what it basically is the holding of two opposing thoughts or two opposing beliefs at the same time. So I love him even though kind of thoughts, or I can't ever trust him. He's not so bad. Like completely opposing thoughts. Or her, can't ever trust her. She's not so bad. It's not just him, guys. So let me say hello to a couple people. Hello, Jonna and Grace and Scorp and Jack Lumen and H1 Anna and Shastina and Frankendahl. Hello, everybody. All right. So cognitive dissonance, it's a really, and Mo Cowboy, a really confusing place to be in, because our minds know better. Our minds know what's going on. We can even name the behaviors when they're happening sometimes. But then at the same time, there's this total feeling of love and dedication and connection to this person. And when that happens, you can see how the question of, are they really a narcissist? Are they really as bad as I think they are? would come into play. Okay. And then, so when you have this going on, there's also something called abuse amnesia, and it's kind of similar, except that what it is it is a basically you forget the abuse that happened. And this is interesting. I'm going to have to look at notes here, so excuse my looking down here because I have to read this. It's kind of the more technical stuff of what's actually happening inside your brain. All right. So there are some chemicals going on in your body. All right. And one is, did I do that? I did. Sorry. My goodness. One is a, sorry, I'm totally distracted. I don't know why my phone, like, I have to figure this out. Okay. Start over. So oxytocin. We know what oxytocin is, right? Oxytocin is the bonding chemical in your body. It feels like love. Okay. It's what gives you the feelings of love and bonding. Dopamine. Dopamine makes you crave. It makes you pursue. It makes you long. It makes you hunt. It makes you want something. Okay. It makes you desire something. It's a drive. It's a driving chemical. It gives you a feeling of a driving force in your life. We all need it, but when you can see when it's linked back to someone toxic, how this can happen. Then there's something called endogenous opioids. And what happens with that is basically lack of them creates pain and use of them creates pleasure. That's as boiled down as I can get it here. And then there's cortisol and adrenaline. And those are stress hormones. Okay, so what happens is you have a cortisol reaction and a stress reaction from a toxic person being abusive to you, or you're being gaslighted or whatever's happening, and you have the stress reaction. It activates the endogenous opioids, which then activates the dopamine, which then gives us the longing and the drive. And this is why we want to break no contact. It gives us the longing and the drive because we have the pain from no contact. It gives us that longing and the drive to resolve whatever's going on. And as soon as there's breadcrumbs or love bombing, boom, there's the oxytocin. And suddenly this abuse amnesia happens. Why? Because it is much easier to believe what feels good than it is to believe what feels bad. It's a defense mechanism to protect you from further abuse, even though it's actually blocking you from seeing the thing you need to leave. Okay. So what helps with that? Does that make sense? I was hope I worded that in a way that makes sense. Cortisol, the stress hormone. Yes, cortisol, and adrenaline too. When you have a surge of adrenaline, it's not always stress, but it certainly activates that process, that chain events of chemicals that happen in your body. So you can see how that all related would create that question, what if they're not a narcissist? Because even though you know what's going on, you may have forgotten a lot of the abuse, and that's what's happening. Basically, the abuse becomes a system, okay? And a system wants equilibrium, and the equilibrium is found, the balance is found in that cycle of love bombing and devalue. And that cycle itself then creates this cognitive dissonance and this abuse amnesia. So that's why we question it. What it boils down to is it doesn't matter what they're called. If they're toxic, they're toxic. If your life is miserable because of another person and it can't be resolved through the means of normal and healthy communication, then it's over, right? There's no point. So let me see. I don't know what you're saying here, Jack Lumen. Pardon. Hard for me to follow chat, which has text. Okay, I don't know. Sorry. Okay, I'm going to keep going with this like I have been, and then I'll come to talk to you guys in just a minute. So basically, with abuse amnesia, forgetting feels good. It feels better to forget, and it's a defense mechanism to help you cope with the situation that you're in. So what would override that? To me, what makes sense is logic. Logic overrides it. You make a list of the abuses and you can't deny them, right? To realize that what you're feeling is okay when it's negative, even though it doesn't feel like the good feeling, right? So realize that feeling anger and, all of the things we feel, sadness and grief and all of that, they're things we need to feel in order to see the truth. A lot of times when we ask that question, are they really a narcissist? Or let's just even say, are they really toxic? Right? We can't diagnose them. So, but we can look at the pattern of the way they treat us and realize, is that a toxic pattern? So in order to see that it is a toxic pattern and stop hiding the truth from ourselves, we need to feel what we feel about the actual abuse that happens, and realize that when we're not feeling it, we're probably in a state of cognitive dissonance or abuse amnesia. Does that make sense? I'm going to look what people are saying. You need text summaries again. Okay. I'll try make a little chart. Okay. My last trauma was 2 years ago, says Grace. Much feeling has occurred, but I can't seem to remember everyday things or events from my past, good or bad. Does the memory capacity return as we heal? I think it does. I think it does for a lot of people. I think if you think about it, in normal memory kind of does that anyway. Like there's gaps and holes and like, oh, I forgot we did that, just from the mundane things in life. Does that make sense? Like we forget anyway, but we get kind of concerned about it because the gaps are much more pronounced when we've had the trauma, right? So I think some of it returns and some of it doesn't. And I think it's normal what you're experiencing. So keep with the healing and try not to worry too much about it. Just if you focus on what's positive in your life now and keep moving that way, as things come up, you're better prepared to handle them. Does that make sense? And so maybe that's all your psyche's asking for is a little support in the self-care department so that you can take it when you do have a memory, right? Because we don't want to just continually live in the triggers. It's a lot easier to, once you feel comfortable, just to stay there, right? Let's see. Okay. All right. So what else was I going to say about this? Oh, ways to get yourself back into the reality of the fact that this is a toxic relationship. Or is it not? I mean, it's everybody has to determine for themselves the relationship that they're living in, whether or not that suits their life and whether or not it's healthy for their life, right? We can't diagnose anybody else. So making lists of the things you find abusive is number one. That is so useful for so many things. It's useful in helping to break trauma bonds, and it's useful in remembering, and write it down as soon as you can so that you do remember it. And remembering that your logic needs to be listened to here. You have to listen to the part of yourself that says, oh, that actually did happen. Okay. Even if you're not feeling it, this is the thing with cognitive dissonance. Your logic is telling you something. Your mind is telling you this happened. This isn't right. It doesn't feel as bad as it should feel sometimes. Does that make sense? Like it doesn't feel as bad. If you heard it happened to someone else, you'd be enraged. But when you feel the feeling of it from having it happen to you, am I saying that right? Then it's sort of a numb feeling, or it can even be like candy coated, so that you're not actually feeling the intensity of what it really feels like to be in that situation. That's self-protection, right? But it's also part of the cognitive dissonance. So listening to logic and remembering, okay, when I'm not feeling it, it's okay. I know it in my mind. I don't have to feel it to know it's true. Another thing is to talk to someone, talk to a support group, get yourself in SPAN or another group that is supportive and caring. Talk to a coach or a therapist. I never suggest friends, only because for this particular matter, a lot of friends don't get it, and it can cause a lot of hurt when your friend doesn't get what you've been through. And when it seems like they're telling you, just get over it, or whatever they tell you, or, well, you're better off without them, and that doesn't really help in the situation, because what we need is validation. We need validation that this whole experience lines up with something that is toxic. regardless of what we call the toxicity, right? We need the validation from other people sometimes. So talk, I said in validation. And then another thing is that when we have been in toxic relationships, and I will say this probably on every stream I do, because I think it's one of the more important points that actually keeps you safe and gets you healing. And that is that we need to build our self-worth. When we are denying our truth through cognitive dissonance and the abuse amnesia, I mean, we really are denying what happened to ourselves. So a part of us knows that isn't healthy. A part of us is screaming, would you listen to me? Come on, what's the matter with you? Listen to me. And another part of us is saying, oh, it's okay, And it can be really, a lot of people feel shame or guilt, or like their self-worth drops because they're not taking care of themselves in the situation, because they're going back, or they're allowing it to continue, or whatever they're doing. They're not actually allowing it, but you know what I'm saying? That's how they feel. So as you build your self-worth, your understanding of this can change. And also, as you build your self-worth, your tolerance for any abuse goes down. And that's what you want. You want your tolerance to go down and your standards to raise at the same time. And you raise your standards through experiencing yourself as being worth having standards for. Does that make sense? All right. That's what I got on this question. Let me go over to you guys. Hello, Andy. Yes, you feel it right in your gut somehow. You do. You feel it right in your gut. Okay, if there were any questions farther back, please re-ask them. I'm not great at tracking the chat. Sorry. Okay. Hi, Bonnie. All right. Anybody have any questions or anything they want to talk about today? I'm happy to go on a different topic now. This is going to be a shorter stream. This is my impromptu Friday. Impromptu Friday. Let's go live talk. Anything else? Okay. What are you guys up to this weekend? Anybody doing any fun self-care, exciting things? Anything? You have brain freeze. What do you mean you have brain freeze? You ate something cold and it's like something yummy and cold? F-bomb Friday. Uh-oh. We could. I'm too mellow for that today. Let's do it tomorrow and have an F-bomb Saturday. I'm struggling with my sister, says Sweet Pink. I'm struggling with my sister and her new mental diagnosis. She's fighting her best chance. Wait, she's fighting her best chance of NPD. What do you mean? What's going on? You're struggling. She has an NPD diagnosis and she's fighting it. And you're struggling in what way with her? Fog. Okay. I get it, Bonnie. Jack Lemon says, I didn't get how the topic ties into everything. Because, Jack Lemon, when you are experiencing the question of are they really a narcissist, the simple answer to that, which I could do in 2 seconds flat, is it doesn't really matter. If they're toxic, right? Are they really a narcissist? Who cares what they're called? They're a jerk, right? Or who cares what they're called? They're being abusive. It doesn't matter what their name is, what the title is. We get wrapped up in a diagnosis that we can't even give to people. Okay, we can assume it is narcissism based on the symptoms that they present, based on the way that they abuse and manipulate, right? But we technically can't know, and it doesn't really matter. What matters is that toxic behavior is toxic behavior, and it is a person's choice once they understand what's going on to get out of that situation or to stay, right? And I understand that people want to hold on to, they might not be a narcissist, therefore they can change. The likelihood of someone with high narcissistic traits, regardless of whether they have a diagnosis, even wanting to change is slim. So that's the answer to the whole question. And it ties in because cognitive dissonance and abuse amnesia are the 2 major reasons that people ask that question to begin with. So did I answer yet? Let's see. Okay. Toxic is toxic. So much more useful in creating a safe space. You're welcome. Let's see. We were raised, okay, Sweet Pinklet, we were raised by a narcissist mom and she passed traumatically in July. So my sister is having the fallout now and grieving both parents because our father passed away 12 years ago when she was little. She only knows the way my mother lived. I had a little better start because I had 11 years of my father and his stability. And your sister has an NPD diagnosis, or your sister's dealing with your mom's being gone and also having been toxic. It's always so hard to get the whole thing in chat with all the other stuff. And then I wait, and then I have to hold on to the memory of what she said. All right. I know you are, but what am I, right? Bonnie, that's right. You were funny with me last time. Okay. Anything else you guys want to talk about? What else are you doing for yourselves this weekend? I am trying to think of what to do. I don't know yet. Okay, they don't want to diagnose her bipolar because that was mom's, but her regular life shows narc tendencies left and right. But your mom was also narcissist, you said. Okay, so, and in what way do you, so you're left having to sort of pick up the pieces. In what way do you relate to her? How is it creating a struggle for you? Because you have to, what? I mean, the short answer is limit your contact, right? And don't try to take on her. She's got to go through what she's going through and find her way with it. And that's not your responsibility. Her emotional life is her responsibility. I'm assuming she's an adult and that you don't have care of her. Let's see. Okay, she's 20. Okay, so yeah, she's an adult, and I know that's a young adult, and it's a hard time, and she's grieving, and so you're there trying to be there for her. Is that what's going on? And she's causing problems because of the narcissistic tendencies. Is that what's happening? If so, I would say you gray rock the tendencies, and you choose how much you want to be there for her. You choose what you're willing to step into and what you're not with the situation. You have to have really firm boundaries and be able to walk away and be able to, I mean, you're obviously recovering from your own abuse because your mother, I don't know the rest of your story, but just that, so you have your own healing to worry about. And one of the major things you can learn, or one major thing you can learn as you're healing, is boundaries are super important for us. Okay, so this could be a place to practice that, regardless of whether she will accept those boundaries. If she is truly narcissist, she won't. But then as you're coming to your choice of how much contact you want with her, boundaries in gray rock are your friend. Okay, I don't know if that answers to what you were asking, but that's where my head went. So. Okay. Bonnie says, how do we get a stronger spine other than surgery? What do you mean? Which actually I did. I have scoliosis. Pilates helps. What do you mean a stronger spine? How do we feel less like we need to please people and less like worried about upsetting other people? Is that what you're talking about, Bonnie? I don't know what's happening here. Okay. I don't know what's going on in chat. Like stronger constitution among major narcs. Boundaries, gray rock, not trying to please people, not caring what other people think. You drop the nice attitude and put on the business like face, and stronger spine comes with time. It does. Time. And I mean, if you can't get away from these people, then you don't give them any information. They're trying to hoover me and guilt me. Are you no contact with them, but they're trying to hoover you in? So are you asking how to stay away from them, or are you asking they're people you can't get away from? Yes to which? Sorry, I asked like 5 questions. Here, let's try this. Are you asking, Bonnie, are you no contact? Let me just ask that. Okay. And then I'll go here to back to your sister, to Sweet Pink. I struggle a lot not feeling responsible for her. Yeah. Okay. Starting after Dad died, I was the one who tried within my ability to keep her safe, and how unstable Mom was. Okay, this is, do you also see yourself as a perfectionist, Sweet Pink? I'm just curious. Just curious. Because this responsibility thing is a place to look at yourself, to realize that you are responsible for you. She is responsible for her. And unless you have minor children, you are not responsible for anybody else. Okay. Other people are responsible for themselves. And that's a hard thing to let go of, because what do you get out of feeling responsible for someone? I am not judging you in any way, shape, or form. I'm telling you what a lot of people feel. Since we're not actually talking to one another, I'm just going to answer. What a lot of people feel is a sense of worth from feeling responsible for other people. So that's where you start looking at yourself and start changing your belief patterns. All right. So that, because if she is truly toxic to you, do you want to be obliged for the rest of your life to someone because of a feeling of guilt or responsibility that is misplaced because of your programming? That's the question, right? All right. I'm going to leave that. Let you think about that and answer me if you want. I don't know if I'm going in the right direction. This is fun, but also like trying to raise her. Yeah. Okay. Bonnie says how to stay strong in the storm. So you're still around them. Oh, no contact now. Okay. The storm of Hoovers. Well, you understand what a Hoover is, right? It's manipulation. That's all it is. It's trying to get you back to gain your supply. Period. It's not love. It's not affection. It's not need of you. It's not appreciation of you. It's none of the things that they're presenting to you. It's their need for something for themselves. Logic. I keep coming back to that, right? We have to use our minds through a lot of this. We're emotional people, and we can't get swept into the emotion of what the Hoover makes us feel. Even if the Hoover makes you feel angry, don't get swept into that. They don't deserve your time, right? Or your energy. So how can you gain a spine? Start working with boundaries in the rest of your life. Saying no to things you want to say no to, agreeing to only the things you want to agree to, set time limits for things, anything, just little things to help you work with boundaries. As you work with boundaries, then you start realizing how much just the Hoover itself is pushing boundaries. And then it actually gets annoying instead of, doesn't feel more like, it feels less like a storm and more like a major annoyance. All right. And that, I think maybe that's getting a spine. I don't know. So I'd say work on boundaries. Oh, that reminds me that I have group coaching coming up starting very soon, next week, or I'll push it out another week depending on what the sign-up's like. But it'll be 4 weeks. It is boundaries, working on boundaries, working on learning to set them, what they are, what your personal places each person needs to look for themselves to focus on their own places where boundaries are weak. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's coming up. I can post a link in the main portion of this. And there'll be links all over the place as well for it. So check it out if you want. It'll be 4 weeks. We'll meet once a week on video chat for an hour. And there's also a messenger chat on Facebook that goes with it for daily check-in. So to keep the accountability with the boundaries. Anyway, keep going here. Enough of that. How do you, Bonnie, I just saw something. How do you wade through the muck and mire when you are no contact? Then 5 months later, they come back as they are crumbling. It's not your job to fix them. It's let them crumble. Seriously, they implode when they crumble when they don't have supply. So basically what they're saying when they come back and hoover you is feed me. Feed me your energy, feed me your goodness, feed me all the things that you feed me. See it for what it is, Bonnie. See it for the Hoover for what it is. and it helps. Okay. I have a video on the hoovering phase. If you look back, not too many, and it's if you remind me, I'll link it. I gotta try to remember. I will try to remember to link it. But there's one I just did recently on how to stay strong in the Hoover. So go check it out. All right. All right. All right. All right. What's going on? Hi, Mara. Okay. Sorry. I have my camera on a different spot and it's like far away from my, okay. Okay, freeze. So Sweet Pink saying I freeze in something I'm doing. I can't make it perfect. Okay, well, I was asking about perfectionism. Yeah. I stopped my music during that time because so working on the fact that perfectly imperfect is actually the state of every human being. It's true. We're not perfect. No one's perfect. If they were, they'd be the most boring person on earth. And I think, honestly, that's part of what we're aiming for, is to be so boring we are not eaten up as supply. And also, we're trying to be perfect so that we are diffusing the anger and the rage of the narcissist. And it's, it doesn't work, but it's what we're programmed to do. So working on perfectionism can also help with letting go of the need to caretake the narcissistic sister, right? Okay. Okay. Anything else? Did I miss any questions? If I did, please just re-ask them. It's totally my fault. I don't scan this well, and there's lots of people chatting, which is awesome. Okay. La la la. Let's see. Learning and growing more confident every single day. Yes, Frankendahl. Excellent. Okay. I don't know if I missed anything. I'm trying to see if there were any questions. All right. If there are, please just re-ask, like I said. And I'm going to be out of here in about 5 minutes. So, anything else? All right. Narc flip. Any advice? Say a little bit more, Rebecca. I will probably have some. Because I'm just picturing a big pancake pan and I'm flipping a narc. I just don't want to think of people flipping in pans. But anyway, sorry, getting silly. Okay. Julie was explaining the shiny spine. Okay. Yes. I'm accused of no empathy. Oh, of course you are. That's just projecting, my friend. You know this, right? You know this. How you deal with it is you just nod your head. It's gray rock that. I'm almost F-bombing here. I'm sorry. Gray rock that. Just do it. Just gray rock that. That's not even a thing. You have no empathy when you know you do. Ridiculous. Okay. You just don't buy your abuser to my daughter. Oh, to somebody else. Oh, you're being smeared with it. Okay. Well, you show your daughter that you do have empathy, right? You can't control what someone else says about you. You can only be the best person that you are. And you can talk to your daughter about things that show her you have empathy. I mean, you can do things to demonstrate empathy, right? In front of your daughter. I don't know how old she is. I'm assuming an adult. I thought you had adult kids, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember. I can't remember everybody's story. Lise, the difference between a family narc hoovering and secondary lover narc hoovering. You want to know what the difference is, or you're telling me there's a difference? Lise, Dad taught me normal is mundane, which is boring. Weird is unique, which is exciting. Right? That's what happens. Or love is pain, right? No. All right. I was my best, and that was never enough with my family. My mom spiritually abused me. Hello, JJ, on Monday in an email. And now she's emailing me, begging me to go to counseling because she's feeling sick about it. And she's feeling sick about abusing me. False guilt. She can go to counseling all she wants. You don't need to go to her counseling to make her feel better. No, ridiculous. You just say, you politely decline that and say, no, I can get my own therapy. Thank you. And I wish you well with yours. People don't get, I really can't stand that because people don't get to push their abuse off onto you. That's just like, it's like abuse recycling, right? Yuck. Sorry that's happening to you. Okay, let's see. Bonnie is asking what the difference is between hoovering from a parent and hoovering from a toxic partner. Well, it's going to look different. Usually, guilt trips, they'll all use all these things. It'll just have a different approach, obviously, right? It'll be related to the way the relationship is. So a toxic parent might play health scare games with you of their own health, or like that, I'm feeling so bad. I apologize. I'm doing so bad, like that description above of wanting them to go to counseling because she's feeling so sick about having abused them. It's that kind of thing. A parent with the guilt trips, with the, tying into your responsibility to family, into that, family's what's important, that kind of thing. A toxic brother or sister, adult brother or sister if you also have a toxic parent, the sibling may do things like try to triangulate you back in, or they will accuse you of not caring about the parent, so that you see, by kind of secondary guilt, they're not guilting you about themselves. They're guilting you about how you're not there for the parent. Usually it's over an illness, or not usually, it can be over something that the parent's going through that needs support, and you're not there to help, right? And what they're really saying is, I don't want to do this alone. I don't want to do it at all. I want to push it all off onto you and let you take care of them, right? And a partner or a love interest type of hoovering would be often more either the love bombing, the apologies. Of course parents do that too, but am I making the difference clear here? It's just in the way, the types of things that they use, the topics, and the way that they approach the topics, right? But it's the same tactics. It's in guilt trips, pity ploys, love bombing, hoovers. Or it can be negative. They can guilt trip you in a negative way, or they can accuse you of things. Really, if you look at it, really, a smear campaign is a hoover in a sense, because they're smearing you to get you what? To come begging them to get supply out of you. It's all a hoover. So, okay. Hi, Jess. Okay, we have a bunch here. I'm missing what? Oh, okay. There we go. Okay. I think, I'm looking at the time. Okay, I have like 2 minutes here. Buffering is bad for you. I'm sorry. Okay, let's see if I missed anything. Hello, Robin. I'm sorry, I just went totally silent because guess why? 40 minutes. Sorry. I'm going to call this. I'm just going to end at 38 minutes. I think that's better. Or we'll just call it 40-minute lull, and we'll watch me stare at the chat. Every time. Sorry. All right. Hello, Robin. It will be nice to talk to you. I look forward to it. You're welcome for doing these. Hello, Gwen. Your elderly mom keeps acting loving and grateful for all I am doing for her, and then suddenly lashes out with me with very mean criticism, or tells me she doesn't trust me handling her affairs. So frustrating. You know what I'm getting from this is that we need to detach from it. We can't completely detach from it. It's our parents, right? But we have to. Like any other toxic person, seeing them for who they are and for what they are is the most useful thing I can think of, to understanding that they aren't the thing you need. They never can be and they never will be. And so that part is ours then to try and fill that need ourselves, right? Reparenting ourselves and all of the stuff where we heal. But then there's the part, if you're going to continue dealing with them, you're going to continue being around them and not go no contact, that there has to be detachment, because every time you go into it and that happens, you feel hurt and you don't want that. So there has to be something that, gray rocking and minimal contact, not giving them information that you would want thrown back at you or twisted around, not giving them any information on anything good going on in your life, because they will just turn around and, turn it into trash. So, okay. Okay. All right. All right. So you guys keep chatting until it times you out, and I am going to go. And thank you for being here. If you enjoyed this today, hit subscribe and the like button, and I will see you next time. I wish you well with your healing. And as always, thank you for being here. Bye-bye. Of course, I can't get to the thing without moving my head. This is why I don't put it. There we go. Funny.